we are going to understand a new concept called annotations. Before understanding annotations, you need to get some basics about a topic called reflection. What is reflection? Yes? Anybody can define what is reflection? It is an API, very good. Tell me, what is a metadata? Data about data. Where did you hear about metadata? Where did you hear about metadata? SQL here, right? So metadata means data about data. Data about class is called as class metadata, right? So when I write a .java file and compile it, I will be getting a .class file, right? Can I say that .class file is having metadata about class? Yes. So what you can do is, whenever you write a Java class, suppose if I write a class called x.java, very simply to explain reflection I will use here. I'm creating a new package, it's a new project called Annotations first. I'll explain practically. Yeah, here I'm going to create a new package first. com.extension. See here, I'm creating a new class called x. If I save it in Eclipse, it will be compiled automatically. X.class is generated, right? Tell me, compiler will insert the code for default constructor or not? Yes, insert the code for default constructor. Also, it will insert another static variable called class, and it is of type class. There is a class called class in java.lang package. Let me explain you clearly. I wrote a class called x.java. I didn't write anything else also here. I will write a default constructor here. This is a default constructor. I will write here system.out.println in x. Yes. Now I will write a class called demo. And I will take main here. See now, I will write x dot. See, class x is having a static variable. I wrote static variables can be accessed by using class name, right? X dot, there is a static variable for class of type class. There is a class called class inside java.lang package, right? So whenever I compile, I write a class Java class and compile it. The compiler will insert a variable called class whose type is class. Here in this class x, in the .class file, there is a static variable of type class and its name also is class. See the difference. X dot class, it is the variable name starts with small c and class name is capital C, okay? And inside this x dot class, in the bytecode, there will be some static block which will be initializing this class variable to class object, right? Now what is the purpose of this class variable? If you want to know metadata about this class x, data about data is called metadata. So tell me, is there some data about this class x? There is one default constructor. How many fields are there? 0 fields. How many public methods are there? 0. There can be n number of methods, right? So data about a class is called class metadata, right? How can we get the metadata of this class x? By using a variable called x dot class. So every class will be having a static variable called class. By using this reference will be initialized with a class object in the static block of class x, right? By using this variable, by using this class object, what I can do is I can get all the information about class x, all the metadata about class x. What do I mean by metadata? How many methods are present inside class x? How many constructors are there? How many fields are there? What fields are public, private, everything. any information about your class can be obtained by using this class variable, static variable class, right? Did you ever wonder how Eclipse is able to show you the methods here on the right side? Here you are seeing the outline on the right side, right? Here demo is having only one method called main, right? If I open some other class, see, employee comparator is having a method called comparator. Did you ever wonder how Eclipse is able to give the information about what all methods present, what all private variables present, and what all imports in? Here it is even giving the imports also, right? Because by using reflection, by using static variable called class, we will be able to get the metadata, right? So now let us try to get the metadata of class X and then try to print it. Okay, before that I have a small doubt. Can I create an object of a class without using new operator? Generally, to create an object of class, what we use new. Without using new operator, I want to create an object. Is it possible? Yes, by using reflection API. Now I am going to show you how to create an object of class X without using new X. Okay, see here. Already you know class.forName. In JDBC you have used class.forName. What this class.forName will do? Loads the class. Class.forName. Class.forName. If I pass the class name like com.accenture.x is a class name. So what will this line do? It will load the class X, right? Once a class is loaded, static variables will be allocated memory, true or false. Yes, static variables will be allocated. And after static variables are allocated memory, static blocks are executed, false. True, static block will be executed, right? So once I execute it, X.class will be loaded, the bytecode will be loaded. So inside that there is a static variable called class that will be allocated memory. And inside class X there is a static block that will be executed. There what it is doing, the static block is initializing the class variable with class object, right?
Static blocks are executed first or static variables are executed?
As variables are allocated memory, then static blocks are executed. First variables are allocated memory, static variables are allocated memory, then static blocks are executed, right? So when this class X is loaded, what will happen first? Static variable called class will be allocated memory. Then there will be a static block inside class X, which will be initializing the class variable to class object, right? Did I write any static variable and static block here? In class X, is there any static variable or static block now? No, I didn't write. Who will be writing? Compiler will be writing the bytecode for static variable class, and also there will be a static block which the compiler will be writing that will be initializing the class variable to class object, right? Now by using that class variable, I will be able to do a lot of things. I will be able to get the metadata about the class. See now, in demo what I did is class.forName, it will try to load a class, right? This class.forName is throwing class not found exception, because if I write spelling mistake, that class will not be found. It is throwing class not found exception. First let me try it. What is the return type of for name? See here, class. Okay, once this X is loaded, inside X there is static variable, right? This class.forName will be returning a static variable class. So what I will do is class C is equals to, right? Now see here, C dot new instance. In class object there is a method called new instance. If you call, this will create an object of X now. So I can, this is throwing some exception, I will throw it. So here I will typecast it to class X. X is equals to. So I got an object of X without using new operator, new keyword. So this is a way of creating an object without using new keyword. Right? Now how do I prove that object of X is created? So I can prove that by showing this print statement once I run this. The constructor will be executed immediately after object is created. So if you can see this, when I run this demo.java, I can say that object of X is created. Now I am running as Java application. See, whatever I wrote inside the constructor of X got printed. Means object of X is created. Any doubts? Now tell me, I want to create an object of X by using a parameterized constructor. By using c.new instance, it created an object by using default constructor, non-parameterized constructor, right? I want to create an object of X by using parameterized constructor right now. Let me change the class X. I'll have private int I, and here I'll have a constructor using fields. Okay, this is the constructor of X which is having parameterized constructor. I'll write system.out.println inside parameterized constructor. Once I have a constructor, parameterized constructor, let me show you how to do it. I'm commenting this line. C dot get constructor. See, there is a method called get constructors. What is the return type of this constructors? Get constructors. Constructor array. There is a class called constructor. Okay, don't get confused. There is a class called constructor. You will be getting an array of constructors. So one class X can have 10 constructors. Is it possible? Overloaded constructors. You will be getting one constructor object for each constructor inside class X. Or here I have get constructor and class dot dot dot. Dot 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 means what? Ellipsis. Ellipsis means, suppose I will explain you. Suppose if there is a method in my class X, suppose public void some method m which is taking int dot 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 I. So while calling this method m, how many integers can I pass? 3 dots. Okay, 3 dots are there. How many integers can I pass? See here, I will try to call m from the constructor from wherever I can call. See, I am trying to call by using 1, comma 2. Okay, it accepting 2, no error, right? Comma 3, 4, 5. 3 parameters. I can pass n number of parameters if a method is taking dot dot dot. So to m method I can pass 0 parameters of type int. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 100 also. This is called ellipsis. Dot 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 means I can pass n number of arguments, right? Any doubts? So here you can see, I'm just deleting it. Now coming here back, there is a method in class called get constructor. Class parameters, class dot 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 parameter types. There can be more than one overloaded constructor. Now here if I say get constructor,
If we want to use those parameters, then how?
it is just like using an array. I can be used like an array. I have 1, I have 0, I have 2. You can use, right? Get parameters. Now parameter types. See, I want a constructor which is taking a parameter of type int. So what I'll do is here, I'll say int dot class, int dot class. So now I will be getting a constructor object. I'll throw an exception. I will be getting an object of constructor. I will be getting an object of constructor which is taking one int as parameter. Okay. Suppose if there is another constructor which is taking string. Okay. Now tell me how to get a constructor object for this constructor. Instead of saying in.class, string.class. Now whenever I call c.get constructor, I have to pass a parameter. String means if I want to get a constructor object for a constructor which is taking string, then I have to pass string.class. If I want to get a constructor object for this constructor, I have to pass int.class. Okay. Or if I want a constructor for this one, constructor object for this constructor, I can pass zero arguments. Okay. Now I got a constructor object. Now what I can do is constructor dot new instance. See, new instance method will create an object of that class by using this constructor. Now I got a constructor object which is taking string, right? If I pass int, int.class, right? Now I got a constructor object for a constructor which is taking int in class x. Now dot new instance will create an object, but while creating an object I have to pass a value for the constructor. So I'll pass some value 10 as it's taking int. So this will create an object of constructor by passing this parameter. Now let us see. I'll throw an exception again. Okay, now see here, I'll just try to print plus I. Plus I means if I pass 10, it should print inside parameter as constructor 10, right? Now let us see. Yes, inside parameter as constructor 10. Means this is the way to create an object of a class without using new and by using parameterized constructor. Any doubts? Let me know. So now I have a doubt. Can I make my constructor private? Yes. Will I be able to create an object of that class if my constructor is private? Outside that class? No? I'll say yes. Okay, if I say yes, you are also yes, right? Okay, let me prove how it is possible. Now what I will do is I will make my constructor of class X. I will just comment all these three. Or okay, even I will try to comment all the other constructors.
The main purpose of this constructor object is to create an object without using any operator.
1 minute. Now I made my constructor private. I cannot create an object of class X now because it is private. Outside class X I will not be able to create an object, right? But by using reflection I will say that it is possible. I will say that. Will you believe me or not? Okay. You don't need to believe me. See now, this is the constructor which is taking int, it is private. If I run this program now, what I am doing, I am saying c.get constructor which is taking int.class. And I am invoking it, right? Let me run it. If the constructor is private, yes, it was public, it got executed. Now it is private. See now, what is it saying? It's throwing an exception saying no such method. No such method, right? Because it is private. Now see, instead of calling get constructor, what I'll do is I'll say get declared constructors. There's a method called get declared constructor. Okay, get a declared constructor if I use, you get all the declared constructors, whether it is public, private, protected or anything. Now let us see what will happen. Instead of get constructors, I am using get declared constructors. Okay, again I got an exception saying illegal access exception now. Now what is it saying? Previously it said there is no such method. But now it is saying illegal access. class cannot access members of X with modifiers. Now it is saying, okay, I am able to see that, but you cannot access it because it is private, right? Previously it said there is no such method, but now it said there is a method, but you cannot access it. Okay, now still I don't want to get this exception. I want to use it. So what I will do is constructor dot, there is a method called set accessible to true, even though it is private. I want to access. So if you can say set accessible true, now run it. Yes, I got it accessed, right? So even by using reflection, there is nothing you can't do, because whenever you are using reflection, you are operating at bytecode level. When you are at bytecode level, you can do anything, right? So you can even access a private constructor and create an object also, right? Okay. Any doubts? See here, I want to get what all fields present and what all methods present. If you want to get the method, okay, let me create a simple method in class X. Public void do something, do FTP. Then here in do FTP, I'll write a print system.out.println doing FTP plus I. I'll just check whether the I is accessible here or not. Okay. So I want to call this method, and also here I want to pass string yes doing FTP plus I plus some space plus S. I want to invoke this method using reflection. Just see now, quickly I will complete it. Now C dot, there is a method called get method. Yeah, one. Okay, now I want to invoke a method there. So C dot get method, there is a method called get method, just like get constructor, get method. See, get method is taking one parameter. What is the method name you want to get? I want get method is reading what? See, method object. There is a class called method. Okay, so I want a method object for a method whose name is, what is the name here? Whose name is do FTP, which is taking string. So what I do here is C dot get method name is do FTP, parameter types, again it's of type what? Plus dot dot dot. So there is only one parameter, so I will pass string dot class. So I will be getting a method object for do FTP, method m is equals to, then m dot, see there is a method called m dot invoke. See, is it a static method or non-static method? Non-static. So non-static methods have to be invoked on a particular object, right? So I told earlier also, if there is a class called, if there is a method called if there is a method called do FTP in the bytecode, how many parameters will there be for do FTP? Two. What is the first one? This. A class X of type this, right? In the bytecode, do FTP will be like this. In the bytecode, the method do FTP will look like this. Do FTP, the first parameter is X and the name is this, comma string S. So if I want to invoke a method called do FTP at the bytecode level, so what I do, pass the first object, the object on which I want to invoke this method, and the parameters, right? Okay, now see, tell me what I should pass to m dot invoke. Tell me, I want to invoke a method called doFTP. So I got a method object for doFTP. I want to invoke this method doFTP on an object called x. Okay, I didn't take it here. Once I call constructor.new instance, I'll get an object, I'll take it inside a reference of x. So I want to invoke on this x object, and arguments I'll pass some string object. Okay. So now what I want, is I want this method doFTP to invoke with this value as parameter. Right. Now let us see. See, in doFTP, what I did, I printed I. So on which object I invoke? X object. What is the value of I? 10. And string, whatever I pass is printed. Right? So this is the way to invoke a method. Now tell me, can I access private methods also now? Yes. Here I wrote get method. Instead of this I should say get declared methods. I'll get method object. Method that set accessible to true. I'll be even able to access private method. So what I want you to understand is, by using reflection, you will be able to get each and every information. You will be able to get all constructors, methods, fields, anything which is present inside the .class file can be obtained by using class variable C, right? Okay. Once you understand this, now let us start annotations topic. These all are the basics for understanding what is an annotation. Okay. Now I'm going to give you a demo. Okay. See, this X class is having a something like this. Yeah. What is this? Tell me what I wrote. This is comment, multi-line comment. Do you agree? Now what is this? Now what is this? Is it a comment still? Java doc comment. We can generate Java documentation. We have seen Java documentation for all the classes here. This is Java documentation. This is Java documentation, right? You can generate documentation for your own classes also. But for that, if you want to generate documentation, what you need to do? You need to use comments like this. So if you want a class level documentation, if you see the API here, whatever you are seeing here, it is nothing but class level documentation. Whatever you are seeing at the class, this is class level documentation. And if you see here, this is a method, right? This is method level documentation, right? So if you want to write documentation, you have to use such type of Java doc comments, right? Inside JDK bin directory, inside your JDK instruction directory, inside bin directory, you know there is java.exe, right? There is another thing called java doc.exe. You can use the java doc.exe to generate such type of documentation. So java doc.exe is a tool which can generate documentation for your own classes. Now for giving a simple demo, I'll try to generate documentation for a project here. I have a class called collections. I have a project for collections here. So here you can see generate Java doc in project. Generate Java doc is there. I'll take this. I will select only collections. For only collections project, I am generating the documentation. Okay. I will select Java doc command. I will select where should it find Java doc. In C, program files, Java, JDK, bin, Java doc. Here is the Java doc. I have to give the path of the Java doc. Okay. Then I'll take all defaults. Next, next, next. Finish. For now. Then finish. See, it is generating Java doc. Where? In the same folder, in C colon Java doc collections. This is my project folder. See here, there is a folder called doc created, in which you can see index. See, is it not the documentation for my own classes right now? In that project, these are all the classes present: employee, employee comparator, list demo, my list, everything, right? No interfaces there. So here you can see this is Java doc for my own class, constructor ideal method, list demo. This is Java doc. Of course, I didn't write Java doc tags. If I have written Java doc tags, it can written all the full documentation, right? So what I want you to understand is, on the class, on the top of class, if you write a tag which is using extra star, this is called Java doc comment. Java doc.exe is a tool which will recognize your Java doc comments, right? But tell me, if I write such a comment, will that comment be present at the bytecode level or not? In the bytecode, in the dot class file, will that comment be there? No. For a compiler, it does not make any sense. These comments are for our sake, right? For us to understand what this method is doing or what this class is doing. So the comments are present inside the class level only. Sorry, .java file level only. In the dot class file, there will be no bytecode for this comment, because for a compiler it does not make any sense, right? So compiler cannot understand, need not understand comments or Java doc comments. But some tools like javadoc.exe can understand these Java doc comments, and they are able to generate Java documentation also, right? Can I say that this is a metadata? Metadata means what? Data about something is called metadata. Is this describing about class? Yes, it is a metadata. It is describing about the class. But this metadata, is it making any sense for a compiler? No, compiler does not make any sense for a compiler. Comments, right? But for a JVM, will it make any sense for a JVM? No sense. JVM need not execute this comment, right? For a JVM also it does not make any sense. So such metadata will not make any sense to a compiler, or it will not make any sense to a JVM. But some tools like Javadoc can understand this Javadoc comment, and it was able to generate documentation, right? Okay. Now, once you understand this, I want to write a class called employee. First, I'll tell you, I want to write a class called employee. And here I will write all the same things: private int employee ID, private string name, private int salary, and generate getters and setters. Okay, this is a simple Java class. Do you agree? Huh? Now, I have a table called employee in the database. Okay? If I want to save an object of employee, you have seen I have written a lot of JDBC code. Right? In the JDBC util, where is this JDBC? Here I wrote a class called JDBC util, to which if I pass employee object, here is the code for inserting this employee into employee table, right? Right? Now, what I want is, I have a class called employee, and I have a class and I have a table called employee. Okay. I want to write a tool, my own utility class, such that if I give employee object to it, it should say employee inside employee table. Okay. If I give some other car class to it, car or student class to it, student object to it, it should say student object in its own table. Let's say the student class is having its own table, right? So if I want to write a tool, means I want to write a class like this. Okay, see here, I want to write a class like this now. Util, I will write util or db util, db utility. I want to write a class, I want to write a method like this: insert public void insert, which is taking object as parameter. Okay, see here, insert method is taking object as parameter. So what all objects I can pass? I can pass any object. I can pass employee, student, whatever, right? Suppose to this insert method, if I pass employee object, what it should do is it should save employee object to employee table. If I pass student object, it should pass student object to its corresponding table, right? So this tool should be intelligent enough to understand by just seeing the object itself. It should be able to understand, oh, into which table should I persist it, should I save it? It should be able to understand it and then save it into corresponding table, right? Now I want to write a tool which can get some information by seeing my class. Okay, now see here, if I write a comment like this, table, if I can write some comment like this, table name is equals to emp underscore tab, will my tool be able to understand this? No, why? See, I will write following some convention: table colon name is equals to emp underscore tab. Is it not giving some information? Like for a human being, can't you understand that this object has to be persisted to a table whose name is emp underscore tab? You can make some sense out of it, is it right? But will this comment be present inside the dot class file? No. Let's assume, suppose I compiled everything, I am not giving .java code to my client. Generally will be keeping all dot class files only in the class path. .java files will not be in the class path, right? Dot class files will only be inside the class path. So if this comment is not present in the dot class file, by using reflection, will I be able to get this information? Whatever I wrote inside the comment, by using reflection, what all I can get? If it is present inside dot class file, bytecode, then only I can get everything by using reflection. So if it is like a comment, will I be able to get it? Because this comment is not present inside the dot class file, I will not be able to get it by using reflection also. It is present at source level only, right? So now I want a metadata which will be available in the dot class file, okay? But it should not make any sense to JVM. JVM should ignore such metadata, but tools like my own tool should be able to recognize that metadata by using reflection. This is the requirement, okay? Now the requirement is, if I make this as a comment, as a human being I can understand it, but this is not present inside this comment is not present inside dot class file. Comment is nothing but metadata. It is giving some information about this class. I want a metadata which will be available inside the dot class file also, okay? So that by using reflection, I can get the information present inside the metadata. So that metadata is called as annotation simply. A metadata, annotation is nothing but a metadata about A metadata, it can be about a class, it can be about a method, it can be about a field, it can be about a constructor, it can be about a local variable, anything. Annotation is nothing but a metadata.
When document is created, then all the comments will be placed in that document.
Only Java comment. Java comments are special. It is having extra star here.
Only that comment.
This is the Java comment.
Above those methods,
You can write on the top of the method. It will Java will generate method level documentation. See here in the documentation.
it's like in some methods it is written like
See.
auto-generated and all.
Yeah, see. Yes.
That will also be.
Okay. So now I want an annotation. Sorry, I want a metadata which will be present inside .class file. So annotation is nothing but a metadata which will be available in the .class file, so that by using reflection I will be able to read it. Okay. So now what I can do is I'll show you how to write your own annotation. Now I'm going to write a new. See here there is annotation. I want to define an annotation called table or my table. I'll say my table. See the syntax. Only difference between interface and an annotation is at symbol is present. Public at interface my table. Okay. Now what I can do is once I have defined an annotation like this annotation is not having any variables, no methods inside it. Nothing is that, just a defined annotation, right? Nothing is inside it. Method, no methods, no variables, no constructors, nothing. So what I can do is on the top of the class, what I can do is I can annotate at my on the top of it I can use my at my table. So I can say that now my class employee is annotated with my table. This annotation will be present in the .class file level also, so that by using reflection I can get it, right? C.get annotations, the method is the class object dot get annotations, the method is there by using which I can read the annotations also. Now just if I write like this,
It is always at the top of the class.
no, annotation can be at any level, at top of the class or a variable or a method or anything. But now I showed an example of our annotation which is present on the class level. We can restrict it also. Where to be present, I tell you how to restrict it. Okay, now can you understand that there is a corresponding table for this class by seeing this annotation as a human being? Yes? But seeing from my code perspective, can my code understand that there is a table corresponding to this class? If my code reads annotations using reflection, if it sees this annotation, my code will assume that there is a table for this same class. Now I can assume that table name is same as class name, right? So by seeing this annotation, my program using reflection can understand that there is a corresponding table for this class, whose table name is same as the class name, right? So this annotation, is it giving any information? It is giving information that for this class called employee there is a table, right? Is it not acting like a marker? Do you remember what is a marker interface? Do you remember what is a marker interface? Tell me what is a marker interface? Yeah, serializable is an example of marker interface. Tell me what is the definition of marker interface? An interface which does not have any methods inside it is called as marker interface. Serializable interface does not have any methods, that's why it is a marker interface. So here also this annotation does not have anything at all except the declaration, right? But by annotating my employee class with my table, I am able to make my program which is using reflection. It makes sense to my program that my program can understand, this class is having a corresponding table inside the database whose name is same as the class name, right? So such type of annotations which does not have anything inside them are called as marker annotations. There are three types of annotations. First type is marker annotation. Okay? Any doubts? Okay. Now, instead of writing marker annotation like this, what I want is, I want to give table name also in the annotation itself. Like I said here, name is equals to emp underscore tab is the table name, right? So by using annotations, I want to tell this employee class has to be persisted inside emp underscore tab table, right? Now what I can do is I can change my annotation like this. I can write public string value. Tell me, is this a method or not? Is this a method? It appears to be a method, but you can access it just like a getter method or setter method. If there is a variable called value, what will be the setter method? Set value. Getter method will be get value. So if I declare something like this in my annotation, we can directly use dot value to access the value. It is just like a setter method or getter method. Both you can use it just like getter method or setter method. We can allocate a value also to it. See how I will allocate. See, once I have like this, it's giving error. Why? What is it saying? The annotation my table must define an attribute value, because inside my annotation there is a attribute called value. I need to give a value for it. So what I'll do is here I'll say value is equals to emp underscore tab. So if I write a program using reflection, I can read this annotation and I can read the value of this also, right? So my tool can understand, oh, I have to persist, I have to save this employee object in a table called emp underscore tab, right? Now what I can do is, if it is just only value, I can do something like this. See, there is only one variable inside my annotation, only one attribute inside my annotation called value. So if the name of your attribute is value, you need not even say value is equals to, right? Here in your annotation there is only single value, single attribute, right? In your annotation, my table, I am having only single attribute whose name is value. If it is something else also, X suppose, why it is giving error? See, if the attribute name is value, then if the attribute name is value, you need not give value is equals to. The attribute name is anything other than value, you have to give. Suppose if it is X, you have to give X is equals to emp underscore tab. If it is value, then you can directly give it like this, right? So if your annotation is having a single attribute and its name is value, then it is called a single valued annotation, right? You can give a value. You can assign the value for those attributes like this, right? Suppose if the attribute name is something other than value, like X, I have to give X is equals to emp tab, right? Or to be meaningful, what I'll do is I'll say table name right. Now what I can do is here table name is equals to employee underscore tab, right? Any doubts? Is this a single valued annotation, or tell me? No. If there is only one attribute and the attribute name is value, then it is a single value annotation. This is not single value annotation. This can be treated as multi-value annotation. Even though there is only one attribute, this multi-valued. In one annotation, there can be many more also. Public string catalog name. For a table, there can be catalog name also. I can use, this is multi-value annotation. I should give the value for comma catalog name is equals to something, right? Now I am writing a tool called dbutil. If I pass employee object, it is taking reference of object. Superclass reference can point to any object, right? I can pass employee object or student object or anything. If I pass employee object, in this, can I write reflection code and then understand what is a table name into which it has to be persisted? Yes. By in reflection, I can get all the information present in annotations also, right? Right? So annotations are for tools. It is not for JVM, or it is not. It does not make any sense to the compiler. But some annotations will make sense to compiler also. What is it? Example. Example. Suppose I am writing a class called manager. Or have you seen override annotation in any place? Yeah, okay, I'll show you. Employee, is it, what is this? Is it not annotation starting with that? This is override annotation. What does it mean? Is it making any sense to the compiler? No? See, suppose if I have override here, annotation, and if I change the signature, overriding, during overriding the method signature should be same or not? So if I change the signature to take, say, string yes. See, now it's giving an error. Why? What it's saying? See, the method toString or string type employee must override or implement super type method. It is not overriding, right? So my compiler is also able to detect some annotations. So some annotations like override can be detected by compiler also, but most of the annotations will not be detected by compiler. Override is an example of compiler detected annotation. Okay? How did the compiler understand that I didn't actually override it? It's giving error, right? It is giving override, right? It's giving error because my compiler understood that I am not overriding. If it is overriding, the method parameter also should be same, right? How did you understand? Why it gave error? Suppose if I remove this override annotation, will there be any error? I annotated it override. So compiler is taking whether you are actually overriding it, it will give a warning to you if you are by mistake changing the signature, right? So override is an example of compiler and is an example of compiler annotation. Okay? Any doubts? Now I want this annotation to be applied only at the class level. See, classes only can point to can map to tables, and variables inside a class will map to, see, this is an employee class. Employee class, if it is mapping to emp underscore tab, emp employee ID refers to column of the table, right? So this my table annotation makes some sense only when it is applied to a class level. Do you agree or not? If this my table annotation is applied at method level or field level, it does not make any sense, right? So now I need to tell that this method, this annotation should be applied only at class level. So see here, I am annotating the annotation. Annotations also can be annotated. Those are called meta annotations. There are 4 types of meta annotations. The one is retention. Sorry, not retention. Target. This annotation should be a target of. See, annotation target is having a value is of type element type array, right? Whenever it is an array, using annotations you have to keep it like this. Okay? Array means you have to keep it in curly braces. And inside it's an array of element type, so element type dot, see here if I say type, means this annotation should be applied only to types. Type means class is a type, is a user defined type, right? So that means that this my table can be applied only to elements of type. Okay. So now if I try to use this annotation at field level, what will happen? Let us see. See, it's giving an error. Why? Because I told that this annotation can be applied at only for types. Means interface is a type, class is a type, user different types. So it can be applied only to types, not to fields. So see the error. Annotation my table is disallowed for this location, because on the type, whenever I am declaring my own annotation, I declare that the target is type, right? But now I can say target can be field also. Element type dots field. If I say like this, now see, here is an exception, error. What it is saying? I applied it at class level, but I told that the target is field. So now I have to apply that only at field level. So this is what is this called? What is this? Is this target an annotation? Yes, it's an annotation, right? It is an annotation which can be used on the top of another annotations. So this target is an example of meta annotation. Okay? Meta annotation. Annotation to annotation. Okay? This actually annotations. If I am not giving catalog name, it's giving error, right? I want to give a default catalog name. What I can do is here, I can say default ABCD. Means the default value for catalog will be ABCD. If I give a default value, here the error is gone, see? I need not give the value for catalog name always. It has a default value which I define. So this is how to give default value when you are declaring your annotation. So you can give a default attribute also. Okay, finally I'll conclude. Okay, what is time? 5 o'clock. I'll conclude. There are four types of meta annotations. We understood about target, and second one is retention. So retention means, see here, there are 3 values for retention. On the top of your annotation, you can annotate like this. On the top of your annotation, you can annotate at retention. Retention. See, there are 3 values for retention: class, runtime, source. If I select source, means wherever I have used annotation, it will be at source level only. It will not be present inside the dot class file. This annotation, suppose if I have used here, my table I have used it here, right? It is annotated with source. Means in dot class file this will not be present. Okay? So if you want to just use your annotation just like a comment, Java comment, you have to specify the retention type as retention policy dot source. Okay. Now you want your if you give retention policy as class, the meaning is in the dot class file the annotation will be available. So you can read it by using reflection. But for a JVM, it need not have any meaning. The JVM will ignore it. Even if JVM sees that in the bytecode, while executing some code, if it sees the annotation also, JVM will ignore it. But it is present in dot class file, so the tools which are interested, like the tool which I am writing, my own tool, can read the annotation. Right? You can use retention policy dot class, or if you write retention policy dot runtime, the JVM can recognize such annotations. Okay, JVM can recognize such annotations. So JVM can also do something also with that. Okay. Example of a annotation which is having retention policy as runtime is transient annotation. There is an annotation called transient. If you make a field as transient and if you try to serialize that object, the JVM will not serialize it. The JVM will recognize as transient annotation, it will not serialize. So an example of annotation which is having retention policy as runtime is transient. So these are the retention, these are the meta annotations. And there are two more things, just remember the names, these are not much important. The other two are documented, inherited. Just remember the names, these are not very important. Okay, I will share this PPT, you can read it. So we completed